The clinking of silverware always seemed to amplify their whispers. Every family dinner at the Montgomerys felt less like a warm gathering and more like an inquisition. I'm Jake, 30 years old, and deeply in love with Emily, my incredible wife. But to her family, the illustrious Montgomery clan of old money and even older judgments, I was perpetually just Jake. Emily was their golden child, brilliant, beautiful, a successful architect. And I was a graphic designer. Creative, they'd say, with a slight upturn of the lip, as if it were a polite way of saying unemployed. Her father, Mr. Montgomery, a stern, imposing man with a booming voice and an even louder bank account, never missed an opportunity to subtly remind me of my potential, always implying I hadn't quite reached it. Emily's mother, elegant and perpetually poised, would offer saccharine smiles while asking about my little projects. Her older brother, Mark, a hotshot investment banker, was the worst. He'd openly mock my car, my apartment, even my choice of beer. So Jake, Mark would drawl, swirling his expensive scotch, still making pretty pictures, are we? Anything, lucrative on the horizon? Emily, bless her heart, would always jump to my defense, her hand finding mine under the table. Jake's work is incredibly important, Mark. He's passionate about it, but her defenses rarely penetrated their thick hide of condescension. They saw me as the guy who wasn't good enough for their Emily, the man who couldn't provide the life they felt she deserved. Our cozy, art-filled apartment, our shared laughter over takeout, our dreams of building a life together, none of it registered with them. They wanted mansions, European vacations, and a trust fund. I offered love, dedication, and a future built on hard work and shared values. To them, it wasn't enough. The slights were constant. Birthdays where my gifts were met with polite, almost pitying smiles while Mark's extravagant presents were paraded around. Conversations that deliberately excluded me, revolving around their elite circles and exclusive clubs. Even during our wedding, Mr. Montgomery had made a toast that, while ostensibly welcoming me, subtly highlighted Emily's sacrifice in choosing me. It stung deeply. I tried to ignore it. For Emily, I swallowed my pride. I'd nod, smile, and change the subject. But internally, a quiet resentment festered. It wasn't about money or status for me. It was about respect. I loved Emily fiercely, and their constant undermining of me felt like an insult to our shared future, a dismissal of her choice. It was a silent challenge, an unspoken dare for me to prove them wrong. Then came the turning point. It was Emily's 30th birthday. The Montgomerys threw a lavish party at a country club, a dazzling affair I felt utterly out of place in. Mark, after several glasses of champagne, cornered me by the bar. Look, Jake, he slurred, we all love Emily. She deserves the best. Just, don't you think it's time you started thinking bigger? For her sake? He gestured vaguely at the opulent surroundings. This is the life she should have. Are you ever going to give it to her? That was it. The insinuation that I was holding Emily back, that I was somehow less than boiled over. I looked at Emily across the room, laughing, beautiful, oblivious to the knife twisting in my gut. My anger wasn't hot and explosive. It was cold and precise. I wouldn't just prove them wrong. I would make them regret every dismissive glance, every snide remark. My revenge wouldn't be vindictive or destructive. It would be a quiet, undeniable triumph. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. My graphic design business was stable, but it wasn't growing. I was comfortable, but comfort had become complacency. This wasn't about proving myself to the Montgomerys. It was about proving myself for Emily, and for me. I started small. I restructured my business plan, focusing on niches with higher earning potential, high-end branding for tech startups, luxury real estate visualizations. I invested in new software and continued education. Nights and weekends that used to be for leisure were now dedicated to mastering new skills, networking relentlessly, and refining my portfolio. Sleep became a luxury. Coffee became a necessity. My big break came unexpectedly. A referral from a former colleague led to a pitch for a major tech company looking for a complete rebrand. I poured everything into that presentation. I researched their market, their competitors, their aspirations. My proposal wasn't just about pretty pictures. It was about strategy, market impact, and return on investment. I presented with a confidence I hadn't known I possessed. I landed the contract. It was massive, a game changer. The success of that project cascaded into others. Word of mouth spread. My small design studio started hiring. Within 2 years, my little projects were generating significant revenue, far beyond what I ever imagined. But my transformation wasn't just professional. I started taking care of myself. The stress of the past years had taken its toll. I hit the gym, ate healthier, and picked up hobbies I'd abandoned, hiking, woodworking. My self-confidence soared. I still dressed comfortably, but now with a quiet sense of accomplishment. My car was still practical, but now it was paid off, and I had options. The Montgomerys, of course, were oblivious for a while. I kept my successes quiet, not out of malice, but because I was too busy building something real. Emily, however, noticed everything. She saw my drive, my passion, the renewed spark in my eyes. She was my biggest cheerleader, celebrating every milestone, every small victory. Our relationship deepened, forged in the fires of shared ambition and unwavering support. We bought a beautiful modern home, not a mansion, but a home that reflected our taste and our dreams, filled with light and art. The moment of their regret came at a charity gala, an annual Montgomery family affair. Emily and I arrived, not in a flashy car, but in our impeccably maintained one, me in a perfectly tailored suit, Emily radiant on my arm. As we greeted guests, I noticed the subtle shift in their expressions. Mark's usual sneer was replaced by a look of vague confusion. Mr. Montgomery's stern gaze softened slightly. Throughout the evening, people approached me. "Jake, I hear amazing things about your agency. That rebrand for Apex Tech was brilliant, truly transformative. My brother's startup needs a visual identity. Can I get your card?" The whispers at the table were different now. Instead of condescension, there was curiosity. Instead of pity, there was a grudging respect. Mark, unusually quiet, watched me work the room. Finally, he approached. "Jake," he began, I heard about your success. Apex Tech, that's huge. You've really taken off." There was a note of genuine surprise, perhaps even a hint of envy in his voice. I just smiled. "Thanks, Mark. It's been a lot of hard work, but I love what I do." Later, Mr. Montgomery cornered me. His voice, usually so dismissive, was almost hesitant. "Jake," he said, clearing his throat, I must admit, I misjudged you. Emily always said you had a good head on your shoulders. You've truly built something impressive." I looked him in the eye, no anger, no bitterness, just a quiet sense of satisfaction. "Thank you, sir. I appreciate that." I didn't need to gloat. Their faces, their words, their sudden change in demeanor, that was enough. Their regret wasn't just about my financial success. It was about their misjudgment of my character, my drive, and my worth. It was about realizing that passion and perseverance could achieve just as much, if not more, than inherited wealth. As Emily and I drove home that night, she squeezed my hand. "You know," she said, a soft smile on her face, "they finally saw what I always saw." I kissed her hand. And it only took them a few years. We laughed, a comfortable, joyous sound. The revenge wasn't about bringing them down. It was about lifting myself up so high that their old criticisms became irrelevant, their dismissals rendered meaningless. It was about building a life, a career, and a relationship that was undeniably strong, resilient, and brimming with happiness. They called me a loser, they underestimated me, they tried to tear me down. But what I did next? I built an empire, not of money, but of self-worth and undeniable success. And in doing so, I showed them, without a single harsh word, just how wrong they had been.